Overbound here. I got a request to do some graphics for a city style level. Got it from one of my subscribers, so I just wanted to do a quick video on making a building something like this. The one we're going to make is going to be red, but otherwise it'll be pretty similar. So let's go ahead and start. Up here in the corner of my document, I've already created a couple textures just to make this video a little bit shorter. I've got a brick texture here that tiles at 16 by 8. So this bottom section is just the top brick cut in two, and the ends are flipped around. The little shading here is going to be the shading for the edge of our building, and it's just a gradual gray getting lighter as we go along, and using that line shading I've talked about in previous videos, where you do a line of the lighter color and then the darker color again. It helps make the transition look a little more gradual. Last, I just have a little shape here. It's just a 45-degree angle, which is a pixel up and to the left each time. You just need a little square like that. This one is 8 pixels tall, so that's a good size for you to have. So go ahead and make all these tiles. You can pause the video and look at this if you have trouble, but just go ahead and make these tiles, because this is what we're going to use to make our building. Next, let's take our two textures, or our two black textures here, and merge them together. I just want to put this one right on top here. So I've just got my marquee tool selected here, and I always use Control and Alt to transition between the move and marquee tools. I just want to plop this guy right down on top of there. Perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and make this selection again, and I just want the top here, so I've got the bottom now since the pixels are connected. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the marquee tool and unselect that. Now I want to follow this shading. Whoops. I want to follow the shading up the side of this 45-degree angle. So I'm going to move my selection back here, and I'm just going to select this lightest gray, and I'm just going to paint in here. There's that. Then back to the selection tool, I'll move this a couple times, 2 pixels over, and draw 2 pixels this time. So I'm just matching the number of pixels on the vertical corner shading. I'm just matching it at a 45-degree angle though, instead of continuing the straight line. Got a little bit much there, but we'll cover over that here. The selection helps me make sure that I don't have too much selected. Actually, I meant to color with this. It helps me keep my line straight, because then I don't have to worry about going outside the selection this way, because it's outside the selection. So there's no way to draw there. Just finish this up here. Okay, perfect. And then we'll add a fill, just a little bit, a lighter color yet. Can be nearly white. Whoops. Turn contiguous on there, and turn my tolerance on this paint bucket down to 0. There we go. Let's zoom out a little bit and select part of this wall here, or the edge of our building, and right click it, retransform, and pull it down. The building will be, let's keep pulling it down so it's 160 pixels tall. I believe that's 160. Here, let's double check. Yep. Oh, the height is actually 170 or 192. You know what? But that's okay. Well, let's go ahead and keep going with that. So I'm going to select the whole thing now, or the whole wall, and we're just going to mirror it, because we want to have a two-sided building, of course. At least as far as 2D goes. pull this out to the edge here. Okay, perfect. Now let's fill in this with white. Or not that white, but that color we chose earlier. Perfect. Now we need to cover our building shape with the brick pattern. I've gone ahead and laid out the brick pattern in a large enough bitmap to cover the entire building we've created here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my grid on. The grid is 16 by 16. If you don't know that already, you really should watch my grids and measurements video. You can find it on my channel pretty easily. It's an important video. So I've got this brick pattern now covering the building on a separate layer, and I just want to go ahead and hold Control or Alt down. Hold Alt down and click right between the two layers, the building on the lower layer and the bricks on the top layer. So I'm going to hold Alt down and click between them, and you'll see that the brick pattern is now clipped over the bottom layer. This is really cool. It allows us to do some different things. For one, we can change the blend mode over here to hard light maybe, and get this cool effect where we can see the shading in the background showing through our brick pattern, and it looks really nice, I think. You can adjust a lot of settings here, the opacity, or sometimes the fill color has a different effect, and which layer you're on does too, of course. And some of these different blending modes are cool to experiment with too. You can see there's all kinds of different ones. The one that we're going to stick with is hard light though. It looks pretty good, and I like the way, especially on this side, the shading is. Okay, now we need to do a little housekeeping. Well, first, I want to mirror this side. I like the way this side turned out better, so I want to mirror it onto the other side. So let's just go ahead, and I selected the area with my marquee tool, and I hit Control Shift and C in order to do a copy merge, or right here in the menu you can select copy merge too, and then it'll create a merged version of your selection on a new layer. Merged meaning that it could be on more than one layer. So I'm just going to go ahead and free transform it, set the width to -100 to mirror it, and then put it in its place. And then we'll just go ahead and delete this half of the mask and this half of the underlying building shape, and merge all the layers together. So there we have our building merged, and the sides are mirrored. Now let's set this to index color mode to remove any extra colors we don't need. So I'm going to go to Image, Mode, Index Color. And it's 8 colors right now. That includes white, so it's actually 7, because there's no white on it. It's just saying that because it's including white in the color count. Let's use color selective here, and let's set our colors to 7 and see what that looks like. Let's try 6. Still doesn't look any different. Let's try 5. Okay, that time we lost some details. Let's go back to 6. 6 is looking pretty good to me, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. Alright, now I've got 6 colors total, which is actually 5 because white doesn't count. And let's go ahead and get back into RGB mode. Menu, Mode, RGB. Alright, now let's make this a regular layer again by double clicking the lock and hitting OK and deleting the white background. Next, let's make a little window for our background, or our building. I want to make the window 32 by 48, and I'm going to use this brick pattern to help us get started. I'm going to copy the bricks to the top and bottom, and then I'm going to make another copy and right click it and go to free transform, and I'll just rotate it around here by putting my cursor at the edge of one of these little squares, and the little rotate box or rotate arrow comes up and you can rotate it. I'll just hit enter there and enter there. Okay, there's our little window. Let's fill in with some black. And there we go. I want to get rid of this here, and I really want to change the colors here. So let's go ahead and go with maybe a brown. Lower the saturation a little bit. Alright, we'll set this to our darkest color. Maybe a little darker yet. And increase the saturation just a little bit. That'll work. Then we'll brighten it up quite a bit. Decrease the saturation. Maybe it should be more like that. Get rid of our contiguous. Whoops. Coloring the whole building there. So I'll just go ahead and make a selection around my window and color it in. There we go. Okay. Now I need to duplicate this to the other side so that there's no gap there. And I want to add like a little bit of a I'm going to move this so that there's a line in the center of it first of all. There. I want to add a little like a window lock or something. So I'll just go ahead and fill this in with this darkest brown here. And on the top, I'll add a little bit of light. That'll be like the little lock there. And then I'll add like a little bit of light there as well. Whoops, turn the grid off so I don't just keep snapping to it. And then maybe even a lighter color, like almost a white. Let's try that. Gotta increase the brightness probably all the way. Decrease the saturation. Maybe a little darker. And a little bit more saturation. I think I got the... Yep, there we go. Okay, that looks pretty good there. I think I'll go ahead and round all these corners though. And let's add a highlight inside here as well. Oops. Increase my brush size once. I think we might end up making that shade a little darker yet. Or maybe we'll make this shade a little darker. And slightly more saturated. And then we'll make this one much lighter. Oh yeah, that looks much better. I think we can go even a little lighter yet, but it's getting there. Okay, there is our window. Let's go ahead and position these on a new layer over our red building. They're going to look nice. And we'll merge all of our windows onto a layer, merge, and we'll right click them and go to blending options. We'll add a drop shadow. Now you have to be careful because when you add drop shadows, it's going to add a lot of colors. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the grid here so we can see what's going on. But there are some settings with the drop shadow that will avoid adding too many new colors. It'll still add some new colors, but not that many. So what we'll do is we'll set our size to 0, and that's the key there. As you increase size, the fuzziness of the shadow increases, if that makes sense, but the size gets bigger too. So if with the size of 0, it's going to be exactly the same size as the thing it's creating a shadow for. So then if you just set the distance to something like 8 pixels or 4 pixels and have the angle at 90, then it just gives a nice drop shadow under whatever it is you're putting a shadow under. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK to that. I'm going to cut off a little bit of the bottom here because whoa. Okay, so this is our building and it looks pretty good as is, but I want to show you one last trick you can do. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off these windows for a second and copy this building onto a new layer. Okay, then I'm just gonna take these two 32 by 32 area and duplicate it over on top of the one side of the building. Perfect. Then I'm going to turn the windows back on and turn my grid back on and copy the whole thing with a Control-Shift-C to get everything. You can also hit copy merged from the menu. Otherwise it'll only copy the current layer you're on. So there I've got a layer there. I'm going to duplicate this out and then I'm going to mirror it. Right click, free transform. This version here is on its own layer now. So I'll just set the width to -100 and I'll move it into position here. And then I'll free transform it again and reduce the width way down. Okay, perfect. Let's add a highlight to the edge of our building. This edge right here, the one we just created, is probably the edge that's closest to the sun. So let's just go ahead and make a selection that's 8 pixels wide and the width of the building, or the length of the building too. And make sure that that's in the center of the corner, and it is, because I aligned it on the 16 by 16 grid, as I do everything. Okay, so let's take this lightest red color here and make it even lighter. Increase the brightness, maybe a little too much on the saturation. And hit OK. Oops, I need to have those two sides merged. Yep, okay, so merge those and then paint bucket. And I'm just getting that lightest color to be even lighter. And then I'll use the old lightest color on the brick pattern to make each shade lighter than the previous one. I think I need this to be just a hair lighter yet though. And maybe even still. So we'll just decrease the saturation. Okay, now let's free transform our selection again down to 4 pixels. Or actually let's do, 4 pixels. And let's add another shade. So we'll go lighter yet. We'll make our lightest shade this new light color that we've created. And our old darker shade will be the old lightest shade. And we'll do it one last time for 2 pixels. So we'll right click our selection with the marquee tool, free transform, and set this to 2 pixels now. Doesn't want to go to 2. There we go. Make sure it's still centered. Hit enter. Okay. Now let's take our lightest color and make it even lighter. Just double checking it there. And our darker color will, or our old lightest color will be our lightest color now. Now there's a nice shine to the side of our building. Next, let's get rid of the little corners on these brick buildings. Originally I was going to keep them, but I want to show you guys something else. Make sure that's correct. Yes. Delete the little edge there. And do the same to this side. Delete the edge. Okay. Next I want to select the left side of the building and free transform it. And right click it again and go to perspective as the option on our free transform and set this little V up here to 45. Hit enter. And I'll just pull this back up into place now. Okay, that's perfect. We've got that nice 45-degree angle and it gives our building a nice 3D effect. I'm just going to go ahead and pull it over this way and pull it to the background as well. Whoops, didn't have it on its own layer, so I'll copy and paste it, or cut and paste it, I should say, and pull it onto its own layer. Okay, there, now I have a nice back. And I'm going to go ahead and merge all these layers together. Merge. Yep. Put some paint in here. Maybe the roof is kind of like a bluish concrete color. Get rid of that section there. Or actually, I'll just delete it like so. And then I've got this section up here I've got to get painted this blue color. I just mirrored that around because it had that nice 45-degree angle I want, and then I can just cover it up. As a last step, our perspective needs fixed a little bit. The right side of this building was mirrored from the left, so it's just got a little bit of an incorrect perspective here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click near the front edge of the building and bring a polygon lasso tool selection back, and just make a selection around this little bit of the edge there to get a nice edge that goes inward, and that'll give us the illusion of perspective there. With that covers it for this video. We've created a sort of 3D building, and we've created our flat 2D building. 2D building here will work great for like a foreground tile, and our 3D building could work in the background or something. That's all I wanted to show for this video, so thank you for watching. If you liked it, please share, like, and subscribe. I've got more pixel art videos that you can watch if you want to learn other techniques I use for making pixel art. And if you're interested in either of my games, Sonic Time Twisted or No More Robots, please subscribe for updates on that stuff as well. Thanks, Overbound out.